American music is largely reflective of the cultural values during an individual song's conception. Because American music is so reflective of the times, music in the 20th century reflected the elements of revolutionary ideas and radical changes. However, the direction of the change wasn't necessarily consistent between generations. I will be showing the change in message between music in the 1960s and the 1980s. In the 1960s, America was on the precipice of equality. This was either shocking or exciting to you as an American. The protest music at this time was largely focused towards feminism and the rights of Black Americans. This led to the message of the music being more cohesive and understandable. James Brown's "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud" is important because it has strong themes of Black courage, with lines like, "We'd rather die on our feet than live on our knees," "We won't quit moving till we get what we deserve," and lines about Black perseverance like, "We've been buked and we've been scorned," and "Brother, we can't quit until we get our share." Revolutionary in its own way, "Respect" by Aretha Franklin was a call from a seemingly boisterous woman who was also economically independent for respect. With lines like, "All I'm asking for is a little respect," which makes it seem unreasonable that a woman wouldn't have respect. And, "Ooh, your kiss is sweeter than honey, and guess what? So is my money," which is an example of a woman showing economic dominance over a man. This song reflects revolutionary ideas because not only is the economic power in this situation flipped between man and woman, but so is the social power. Sam Cooke's "A Change Is Gonna Come" has a lot of elements of what Black Americans dealt with on a day-to-day basis. For instance, lines like, "I go to the movie, I go downtown, somebody keep telling me stop hanging around," and lines like, "It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die." In the 1980s, protest music largely manifested itself in the form of punk, an offshoot of rock, aimed at disenfranchised youth. Punk, from its conception, was anti-authority, anti-power, anti-wealth, and anti-oppression, aside from the Nazi punks, of course. However, because of the nebulous nature of the aggression in punk, their anger was unfocused and chaotic. The song "Straight to Hell" by The Clash is a satirical song about someone who would exercise political authority over immigrants to keep them out of the country. It's essentially a caricature of people in England The Clash didn't like and they thought their country could do without. "Holiday in Cambodia" by the Dead Kennedys is an attack on rich people with the privilege of ignorance of the goings-on of the world. With lines like, "Well, you'll work harder with a gun in your back for a bowl of rice a day," and "Slave for soldiers until you starve and then your head's on a stake," it's not hard to see the comparisons to the lives of the people in the Cambodian genocide, and it's being used as a threat against people who are privileged enough not to have to deal with that. This is an example of anti-authority sentiments found in punk music. The song "The Guns of Brixton" by The Clash is a sort of early anti-police brutality anthem, with lines like, "When the law breaks in, how you gonna go? Shut down on the pavement or waiting in death row?" It's not difficult to see why songs like "The Guns of Brixton" are still poignant today. They still show this generational disregard for police authority, like so many other punk songs from this time period did. From a more militant angle, G.G. Allen's "Kill the Police / Destroy the System" conveys Mr. Allen's very low opinion of the police. He shows this through lines like, "Kill the police before we're all robots," "Worthless pigman in your phony blue uniform, on a power trip with your useless authority, your life's nothing but a false sense of security." This song, in my opinion, perfectly encapsulates the anti-authority attitudes that some niche youth groups had at this time. This song is very obviously anti-authority because of Mr. Allen's opinion of the police and his suggestions of what to do with them. Aside from punk music, pop music in the 1980s had a political flair as well. Biko by Peter Gabriel is a song that challenges apartheid and spreads awareness about the abuse suffered by Steve Biko in prison. The result of music like this permeating the mainstream led to black people having more of a political voice in popular culture. This falls under anti-authority and anti-oppression because apartheid was a racist form of government at the time that was being used in South Africa. By Peter Gabriel making this song, he's showing his disapproval of the racist policies of apartheid. In conclusion, between the music in the 1960s and the music in the 1980s, there was a general disdain for authority. However, in the 1980s, this aggression became a lot less focused and a lot more nebulous. I think this mainly has to do with the difference in tone of the music between the 1960s and the 1980s. The music that I've shown from the 1960s were largely songs of hope, songs that would get people to strive for something better. However, the songs that I'd shown from the 1980s are really just venting aggression. They're not necessarily offering any solutions or betterment. This is due mainly to the anarchistic and nihilistic attitudes in punk. Punk is a genre mainly about expressing yourself, not necessarily about bettering yourself. So as a result, the music was less constructive in a way.